Welcome back to hell, everybody. Yeah, I want to apologize in advance for not getting these videos out as quickly as I should have been. I know people have been getting kind of antsy about, you know, me producing these, but the reason for that predominantly is because I just today turned in a 20-page paper, which was the last thing I had to do for this term. Thankfully, now I can just relax, and in a matter of, I don't know, 6 days or so is when I'll be headed back to Alpharetta, so pretty excited for that. But yeah, needless to say, this hasn't been at the forefront of my thoughts this whole time, but I do plan to get it out quickly, more quickly now that I have more time. And I have to say, Blaze, who commented on the, I guess it was the last video, having these come out, one surprise coming out on Christmas and another on New Year's. I have to say that's a pretty cool idea, so I'd say you can expect that to happen. I'll do my best to get them out in that time. But of course, when I get home, I can't guarantee that I'll be putting these out as quickly, and on top of that, my computer, as many of you may know, it's a really old, I say really old, but it's not that old. It is a Mac though, and I'm looking into getting a new computer, an actual desktop PC. I've got a couple in mind already, and I'm actually looking at building my own because I would like to do more stuff like this, more gaming and that kind of thing. And I'm looking to find that happy balance of a computer I can have that'll be good, not only good for gaming, but also one that I can just have as a do work on it and all that kind of stuff kind of computer. But anyway, yeah, this is Hidon, or Hidon, or Hidden... Chester, sorry. Hidden is gonna come later. Spoiler alert. I think this is the one that we fought in the underground pipes. I think. He's pretty annoying, but he goes down relatively quickly, thankfully. This motherfucker, on the other hand, though, Mokura, I don't think I've actually shown him during the LP. If you've ever seen us in that area where all of a sudden a random little cloud is floating by for no apparent reason, that's because that is Mokura. And fighting him, you can just do it any number of times, and I think he just gives experience. I don't think he gives any cool items. So I've never fought him because I never saw him as very important to fight, you know. And now he's coming and wrecking our shit, kind of. Yeah, unsurprisingly, he does a lot of magic attacks. So logically, we cannot really hit him hard enough, or at all, for that matter, with physical attacks. Akin to fighting Dark Fausto, or Fausto, he pretty much dodges every single physical attack. So, thankfully, he doesn't handle fire too well. So just pelt him with these until he goes down. He doesn't have too much HP. I think it's somewhere in the realm of a little over 10,000. Maybe 15. Probably more accurately, close to 15. Yeah, things get a little messy around here, but that's what life shrooms are for, right? Right. Try to get a freebie every once in a while. If you ever see me, like, going through a bunch of items randomly, yeah. Sometimes, the way I've discovered that might work is because of the RNG, random number generator. I'm convinced that something like that has to go into determining whether or not freebies actually happen. And I won't exploit it, like do a bunch of random save states to make sure that I get a freebie or anything like that. Because really right now I'm pretty much fine on items. Got enough Caracolas, life shrooms, etc. And as I've stated before, the room immediately after this one is kind of like the only way I can think of to call it is a stop and shop. And that ice bomb, by the way, is very important. Because in the next room, basically, we get to buy a bunch of items and heal up, effectively. And every once in a while, you'll see me putting the royal dress and crown on Peach because that makes her healing, you know, noteworthy. and is less of a pain to do than Gino's magic healing and whatnot. So, without further ado, we go on to the next fight. Just throw a save state. Oh yeah, I had a little bit of mix-up with the save stating there, so I cut all that out. You're going to want to bring Mallow in for this fight, and keep Peach at the same time. Initially, I thought that this fight was going to be kind of hell in a handbasket. Main reason being because, yeah, it's the Mega Smileax and the Zara Dragon. Both of them suck, and they do massive attacks and some counterattacks if you do physical attacks. But that's why we brought in Mallow, because after a Snowy, massive damage, boom! Look at that extra damage. Love it. And Overheat, of course, does nothing. And so, I think I get a freebie with this Ice Bomb, I don't remember. Okay, yeah, that's why we get the Ice Bomb, because with the initial damage plus the quote-unquote burn, weird to say that it's burn from an ice attack, but whatever. And that's another reason why you want to bring Toadstool equipped with all the trimmings for her defense, because both of these assholes do Flare Blitz, and it really kind of sucks having to, you know, revive multiple times, but with the right equipments, Toadstool doesn't take too much from it, so, you know, there you go. And we just keep pelting them. I love how Mallow does like 5-something thousand damage each time to both of them. Really, this fight goes a lot quicker. And initially, I didn't really know that. Like, I didn't think to swap out Gino with Mallow, but it makes so much sense because of the Snowy. And of course, I mean, I think you only need 3 Snowies and 2 bombs if you get a freebie. If not, maybe 4 Snowies is really all you need. Because it does 2, sometimes 3, 4 times, and then an extra 2, sometimes 3, 4 times. So they must both have around 20,000. Or maybe a little under, because, there they go. Yeah, I was initially, again, really worried about that fight, but after figuring out the ice weakness, it's really nothing that special. And for the next fight, you can bring in Mallow if you want, or you can just keep Gino. Either one is really fine. I think, yeah, I thought for this one I bring in both. And initially it looks like this fight might suck, but it doesn't really. It's kind of cool to see the cake again. Forget what keeps preventing Gino and Mallow, what they have equipped that makes them resist Tremor, like, or Earthquake, or any of those kinds of attacks. Just heal up with Mallow. Mallow acts as a much better healer in some cases than Peach does, I think. Even though it is more, and if I had the proper equipments to Peach, she'd be just as good, but, you know, to keep her alive, kind of need her to have the shells and everything. And if you burn the cake, it takes massive damage. And it doesn't take that long to kill it, really. Like I said, it took 9,000, and it had taken 2,000 from Gino's Corona before. Use our last syrup here. I think Star Rain. Thankfully, the white Chomp takes decent damage from special attacks. Yeah, that was all needed for him, the cake to go out. It does do massive damage with Explosion, but I don't know. At this point, it's kind of remedial because of Mallow's capabilities to heal so impressively. Not too soon after this, I think the white Chomp goes down. He's a lot easier than he looks, too. I keep saying white Chomp, but it's a steel Chomp. Yeah, there he goes. Okay, easy fight, right? Wrong! Punchinello, who, I'm gonna be perfectly honest, is actually pretty mediocre also. He goes down relatively quickly, and he doesn't take snowies too kindly. Not that he does counter damage, but they just shellac him pretty hard. Yeah, decent enough. The only problem is he does massive damage to most characters with his spritz bombs. But we don't really care about that. Like I said, if he does it to Mario, even if he did it to Mario again twice, it would still not kill him, so whatever. I don't know why the screen keeps lagging every time I do Snowy. I guess it's a lot to process or something. And of course he has a second phase, just like the first fight. And the bombs are back! Yay! Don't care. Now, the problem with these, yeah, and once he brings out the bombs, he starts doing just one spritz bomb, which is nice. This is why you keep Mallow in for this fight, because if he doesn't overheat and it hits all the bombs, then after your next turn, they all, like, kamikaze at you and they're one-hit KOs. This doesn't really bother us, but Snowy pretty much kills them all right away. Makes them basically not a threat at all. And he keeps bringing them back. And yeah, I'm not going to show what happens because it's pretty sucky, honestly, when he lets them all go. So I'm just going to get rid of all of them right now. Besides, I think at this point Mario's the only one who has something equipped to block one-hit KOs. I don't know about Mallow. Yeah, there he goes. So yeah, this fight in the room is probably the easiest. I don't know, maybe Chester and Mokura are easier. Don't really care. The next fight, however, is going to be pretty terrible. And remember to bring in Peach instead of Mallow. Throw a save state, because you never know. Yeah, I was about to say, wait, what the hell? I guess I'd forgotten to bring in Peach. So yeah, as you already saw, we've got Knife Guy and Great Guy again, and they're pretty awful, just gonna be honest. They merge immediately, and the way this works is you just attack them. And if you notice, it starts off with attacking Knife Guy on top. Remember this, because halfway through, if you're doing certain attacks, you'll notice that eventually it's going to start hitting Great Guy instead of Knife Guy. Yeah, at this point I was just wondering what I should do with Peach, because nobody really needed healing, which is the main reason why I have her, you know. By the way, that defense up doesn't help at all. Yeah, he still does awful damage. Yeah, they do 2 attacks each. For Knife Guy, it's either the regular knife attack or a much worse knife attack, which you'll see eventually. And then Great Guy gets 2 attacks, and those are 2 magic ones. Usually one of them is centered at one person, and another is centered at the group. This may not seem that bad at first, but yeah. For some reason, his one-hit KOs always aim right at Geno. I've never understood why that happens. So if he gets hit and then immediately has to sustain a attack from Great Guy, it just doesn't work. The nice thing about attacking Knife Guy is that he's incredibly weak to fire. I say incredibly, but it's really just, like, pretty weak to fire, you could say. Yeah, 25. It's better than like 15 or something. And this fight repeats on and on, so I'm gonna speed up and set some more interesting music. Ah, that's much better. So anyway, yeah. Eventually, I mean, the reason I bring in this more interesting music is that there's nothing else really about this fight I can say. I mean, Geno keeps getting hit with one-hit KOs and then dying. And eventually, I keep worrying that Mario's gonna die, but just keep bringing everybody back with Peach. Thankfully, she can survive, like, a nuclear holocaust, practically. So she's very useful to have, and that's why you swap her out with Mallow before this fight begins. I mean, theoretically, you could just re-equip everything to Mallow and have him be a pseudo-healer, but of course Peach, I think, works much better. Of course, there are some times where I try to do RNG abuse and nothing happens, which... whatever. And again, worrying about getting freebies in the third room is kind of a moot point, because in between this and the fourth room, again, I keep bringing it up, is a healing room where you can buy things, so whatever. And for whatever reason, it seems to me that the Diamond Saw is an attack that whenever an enemy does it, they, like, lower defense, because sometimes Mario, in this case, gets hit with Diamond Saw, and then tries to take a physical or special attack and takes twice as much damage. I've never understood it, but... See right there, I know it went by kind of quickly, but I think he took more damage than anybody else. I don't know why I picked Ruslan and Ludmilla Overture to put over this fight. Doesn't really fit at all, but sure as hell is better music, I say. If I listen to this sped up, it'd just be really kind of high-pitched and annoying, so I think more sophisticated music does help out the fight. Like I said, Gino just keeps dying. I don't know why. At one point I should have just stopped trying to bring him back to life, because it's more annoying to kind of try and sustain him than anything. Of course, you know, there goes Toadstool and everything, but eventually Gino does it. Bombs away, and that's the end of the fight. Thank God. We're pretty tough? You're pretty tough! That's what I say. And thanks for no coins and 1 experience point. I don't know, I guess they're just... The characters put in this room are designed to still have their experience amount or whatever. So anyways, yeah, we can buy stuff. And we can buy Caracolas, yay! We can get rid of... Well, we didn't really have anything to get rid of. Thank you for Caracolas. More life shrooms and royal syrups. Don't know why I'd get carbo cookies, to be honest. Of course, I've never used them in a fight, so I don't know what they really do. Get rid of those hyper elixirs. Don't need those, as we've stated. Alright, now we are all set. Thankfully. The thing is, make sure, though, that you heal up. So I threw a save state here real quick. I think I'm gonna cut... I don't exactly remember. Now, this guy on the right here is sort of the Frog Coin Emporium guy. We don't really need anything from him. Yeah, off-screen I used another Royal Syrup and bought one, because I was low on FP. Alright, now we are all stocked up. Thankfully. Remember these victory toasts. We're gonna use at least one of them in this room. God, I love this music. But that music, of course, intones all the bosses that had it. Yeah, this room is going to be not the hardest. Certainly compared to the room before, it's a lot harder. But honestly, all these enemies are relatively harmless. I mean, yeah, the Hammer Bros kind of does Sledge, which sucks pretty bad, but still. All these guys will go down relatively quickly, and it's best to do a Super Flame because thankfully all these guys take burn damage. And for Crocco especially, you know, you're going to need to take him out first because, as you saw, he steals all your items at the beginning of the fight. Of course, at some point, I guess I'd just fuck up in terms of hitting the button. Whatever. Thankfully, immediately after doing the fire attack, Crocco does not do awful counter damage with a Spritz Bomb. Yeah, Spritz Bomb doesn't do too much to us anyway, so it's all good. And Bellum kind of goes throughout the same attacks every once in a while. He'll do something different. Same with the Hammer Bros. They're really nothing too interesting to say about them. yeah, eventually Bellum is going to do his classic thing and eat somebody. And of course he'll also try to do a body slam, blah blah blah. Hammer Bros will try to throw a hammer at one point, or come up and do like 4 quick, like, things that the guys in the second room, the Axum Rangers and Cloaker, things that they did, basically. And this is an attack always to be wary of, because he could be pulling out an enemy to throw at you, or he could be pulling out, basically, a one-hit KO knife. Learned that one the hard way. Yeah, and I was hoping that Geno Cure would, I don't know, cure Geno of being affected by what happens when the Diamond Saw hits him, but I don't know if that's really the case. I think I figured I'd go roll with it anyway, but... yeah, eventually you have to get wary of the FP that you use, because currently there's no way to... yeah, no royal syrups, no caracolas, no nothing. So I think at this point I just do a physical attack to him. And then everything is aimed at Crocco for the next one. Yeah, this is where we really needed it, because we're all pretty close to dead, so I aim a Super Flame right at Crocco. And thankfully, once I go through a year's worth of animation of these fireballs... he bitches out and runs away. It's like, hey, wait a minute, didn't you help us earlier in the game? Sudden change of mind. At that point I was like, come on, freebie, yeah! I was really happy for that. I'd say Hammer Bros is the next most annoying one because... well, yeah, there's that. But even more annoying than getting eaten is the Hammer Bros doing haste. It basically sucks pretty hard. So take him out soon, because he does a lot of damage with his physical attacks. I was really overjoyed to find out that fire works so well in all these boss fight rooms. It really does. I'm really glad to be able to use it because... and thankfully the Luigi hammer keeps both physical and special attack really high. It's nice. Yeah. Like his sledge basically right there did more damage, so... I was just like, grumble, grumble, grumble. Yeah, that was where I thought they were gonna do sledge, but he ended up just throwing and smacking. So burn his ass, or smack him with a hammer. Yeah, that'll work. And if this fight looks like it's pretty easy, don't worry, the next fights will be pretty awful. And not even really the next fights, like, plural. This one's the easiest one, well, arguably. Maybe the third one is the easiest one. The second one is definitely the hardest in the room, and possibly one of the hardest in the boss rush as a whole. And you'll see why when we get to it. Let's just say... it may be kind of a bitch move, but I am going to need to use a victory toast. Love that item. It's basically a lesser version of the Aura Stone. But let's be serious, if I had 2 victory toasts and 2 Aura Stones and they worked the same way, this boss fight would just be too easy. The whole rush would be. So yeah, there goes Geno. No items, because... well, did we have all loaded up items? I don't remember. Alright. Let's do the awful fight. Relatively, it's not that bad, to be honest. We will need the Star Rod, though, trust me. And the fighter is... Valentina, Parrothead herself. Oh yeah, and of course Dodo and Berto. The prime objective is to have everybody live. Of course we didn't do that though, so I have to bring Mario back. Do one attack to Berto, because it doesn't do counter damage when you do attacks, unlike the other two, as you'll find out. And the horrible counter damage from both Valentina and Dodo is just part of the reason why we need a victory toast for this fight. Yeah, the flame does, again, thankfully, a lot to these enemies. A toast to our victory! Yeah! We're gonna win! Haha, you can't do no damage to us, no way, no how. Now, ironically enough, I think a Dispel from Valentina would take away the effects of the victory toast. However, we get very lucky in that I don't think she uses it. And take out Valentina first, by the way. Her and her Gainaxing, I think is what it's called. Like extreme jiggle physics. With her titties. That's not the funny part, though. The funny part is still always been to me how the bird just looks so, like, surprised by what happens. And by the way, don't do a group hug with Peach, because that will take away the effects of the victory toast. And in hindsight, it was probably probably would have been a good idea to equip Toadstool or Peach with something that could help her attack a respectable amount, and not just like sit on the sidelines and do nothing with Peach Beam or Holy Ya, Holy Ja, you know. But whatever, you know. Gino and Mario have more than enough physical prowess to take out these three clowns. I maintain, though, that Valentina's storyline is still one of the funniest parts of the game. Easily the second funniest. Second only to, Booster. I want to say a Caracola actually will also take away the effects. Not quite sure, though. Like, don't quote me on that, because I'm not entirely sure. And yeah, you might have seen Valentina actually healed a little bit Dodo. That's why, predominantly why you want to take her out first. Thankfully, Dodo died. Excuse me, Berto died. But Mallow... God, I'm getting tripped up over names for some reason. Dodo will hopefully die right now. Well, almost. I think after this turn the effects start wearing off. I did a Holy Ya and... Oh, I thought it killed Dodo. And we get fortunate enough in this fight, in this turn right here, because the Corona gets rid of Dodo, and Valentina aims an attack at someone who's still under the effect of the toast. So, a Super Flame, and I think this pretty much ends the fight. So yeah, if I had to say use a victory toast anywhere, it would be either this fight or one in the next room, which we'll get to in a minute. Okay, Holy Crystal. Hang on to that Holy Crystal. Trust me, we will need them. And this next fight is... Okay, calling it the easiest fight is not really true, but if you remember the way we handled both of these enemies in the first part of the game, you'll understand why I think that. Yeah, through a quick save state there. And making sure that everybody's equipped properly. I tried to see if anything else could raise Mario's special attack, and when you see the fight, you'll see why. Yeah, and the Star Rod will be most helpful, because... yeah, we got Captain Johnny, who does 3 awful attacks right away. And a Spritz Bomb. So we're just gonna start wailing on them, basically. I don't know how their physical defense is, but neither of them take flames too lightly, so we are gonna thrash them and burn them and basically have a big old fish fry right here. Beautiful. Now, I think eventually I start thinking, you know, I should probably focus more on Johnny going down first. And thankfully both of them take nice amounts of burn damage. And that lightning attack is going to be the bane of our existence throughout this fight. Because I always wondered what happens, like, why certain attacks do flat-out 0 damage. And I know some of it is partly because of elemental attacks, and we're all pretty much resistant against those. But then I thought, wait a minute, those probably debunk my defenses, or attack, or kind of thing. And it turns out, some of them, if not most of them, do. Yeah, and the first time I actually missed the healing for that, the bonus, because, of course, lag. And yeah, Geno doesn't take these debunking of defenses too well. He goes down much more quickly after that. And the reason... okay, I'd forgotten to mention this. Partly also the reason why Geno needs to have the Star Rod is because it raises his special defense more than the, what's it called, the Bombs Away does. And yeah, he needs it to have a chance of surviving through a spear rain, especially if he's been debunked. And yeah, when Johnny goes down, he gives an elixir to the King Calamari. So now you're thinking, oh, he only does 3 attacks. Now it's no problem, right? Well, of course, that's where you'd be wrong, because not only does he do his regular 3 attacks, but he does 2 more! Boo! We hate this! A lot! But thankfully, we can still light him up. And he takes a lot more damage this way, which is always good. I gotta say, the Calamari takes getting his eyes pelted with fire really well. I'd be, like, writhing in pain or something like that, but he just sits there and keeps moving his eyes and his tentacles, and it's just like, eh, whatever. Just another Tuesday. And of course, every time they debunk Geno's stats, he always has to be the one who gets targeted. Just a fact of life, I guess. And again, I don't know what it is that Geno wears that prevents him from taking any damage with Earthquake. It must be the Star Cape, or the whatever it is. Maybe the Jinx Belt? I don't know. But yeah, with throwing so much damage on top of our squiddy friend here, he'll go down relatively quickly. I wish they would debunk Peach's stats, because even when hers are, she still doesn't take a whole lot of damage. But whatever. One more thing of flames. I threw Ultra Flame in for good measure. Because now that it can focus just on him, it of course does more damage. Seeing the squid reminds me, a few weeks ago, after one of our classes ended, finally, a bunch of us went out to a Thai restaurant for dinner, and I'd never seen it on the menu before, and I actually ordered the special ginger squid. And I gotta say, it was pretty good. Certainly doesn't make me feel bad fighting this guy about eating him, because he's really just a douchebag, and all of us are really close to dying now, so right about now, I was really praying that that diamond saw would work, and of course it did. Get a Caro Cola for our hard works, and of course we're not going to use it. I was kidding. We do Gino instead. And a royal syrup, because those Caro Colas are numerous, plentiful, and wonderful. And in running out of ideas of what to put in for this last fight, I think we're good anyway. Basically, we just have to fight 3 chests. Now is where we fight Hedon or Haydn or Hidden would make more sense. Pandorite, and what's the other one's name? Box Boy, yeah. Hidden I can understand, Box Boy I can understand, but Pandorite reminds me of Dead to Rights. I'm not gonna steal that joke. Yeah, Box Boy takes flames the worst, so start attacking him first. And that happens. Oh, okay, I can't resist saying it. Oh, well that happened. Would you mind staying over there real quick? I have to go play babysitter. Okay, better stop quoting or else I'll quote the whole episode. Where was I even going with that? I don't remember. But yeah, these chests are nothing really remarkable, and I can understand it's like there's nothing... Like, if you have to have 4 fights in every room... And the Killer Fang would be something to worry about if they targeted Gino, which of course they never do. And Overheat, thanks for not doing any damage. I shouldn't say that it's uninspired, it's just... Like, fighting all 3 boxes is... They all do 1 attack, so... Really, I could have seen these happening at the beginning of the room, but I know in the previous hack, the fight that was here, it's gonna come later. So I can understand, you know, not having really much to do after this. Kind of thankful that they're unremarkable attacks. I guess compared to the third room, this room is a lot harder. Similar to how in comparing to the second room, the first room is a lot easier. And vice versa, second room is a lot harder. Next 2 rooms, though, I think, honestly, it's going to be a close contest. Because on the one hand, the 5th room is just a nightmare. But, on the other hand, the 6th room is also a nightmare. And a few of these fights in the 6th room and in the 5th room, as I have found out, are going to be basically us revisiting already difficult fights. So, yeah. It's going to be pretty terrible. But nothing we can't handle. Primarily, thankfully, to us having a victory toast. Yes, we are going to be using it in the next room. I think the 6th room will be largely okay. Because there's really just one room in this next fight that's just awful. But don't worry, we'll handle it. Anyways, sorry again for not having so much material to get out, but now that I have that paper out of the way, I'm going to be able to do more of these, and I hope this longer video makes up for the lack of videos, so until next time we'll be doing 2 awful rooms. And yes, make sure you're properly equipped, because it's going to be awful. You'll see why. See you guys later.